I don't want, Stugotz, the frenzy of professional football. Detroit and Kansas City opened to a number that was 27 million people. It's the most watched thing. Football just starting on a Thursday night is the most watched television program since the Super Bowl. Professional sports have nothing and have never had anything like professional football. It is the most American of commerce. Monsters, Disney and Amazon, Netflix and Google and YouTube, the biggest things want to be a part of an NFL that somehow continues to grow in a giant way. And what has happened traditionally around here is Sunday gets here and Saturday gets gone quick. But not this Saturday. I'm going to stop everyone now for the coolest story in college football. And Game Day and Fox, they're both ending up somehow 2 games in. They're going to Boulder to make Deion Sanders the biggest thing in the other professional sport that we have.
They're playing Colorado State. I mean, can they go for a good game?
Yes, this is what has happened now. And not only that, Stugotz, because it's not just that this mercenary has come in and now, unbelievably, doesn't matter, Stugotz, what happens from here. 2 games in, he cannot be winning more. Matt Rule, keep all your Matt Rules and your 1-score losses, Nebraska. You got Scott Frost out of UCF. That's how we used to do it around here. Now you've got a guy, Stugotz, and I don't know how good his team is, but his quarterback is now a Heisman candidate, his son. And it's not just that. His son is on the field. Stugotz, and he doesn't like people on the Buffalo. And so he is flashing a wrist with a Rolex at Nebraska players for the disrespect. Rick Ross is talking about Deion's kid is showing him the rolling. And I'm telling you, this is how things become popular, and this is how things become big in this sport. You've got a renegade who is on right now with Michael Irvin and Skip Bayless because he's playing in the big leagues. He got here. He's doing the commercials with Saban. You do not understand the mercenary that this is. This person, through 2 games, has the hottest thing in minor league professional football. And then after the game, I don't know, is it a Bentley? Is it a Maybach? Like what are Deion and his son?
Just guess a couple more colors, please.
I don't know what kind of car. What kind of car were they driving? My point is that your Heisman candidate is really rich and his dad is really rich, and this family is here to take over the minor leagues of professional football. And through 2 games, they have.
And usually you can count on Deion giving you the great quote pregame, postgame, and he's still always going to do that. But Shedeur, who's become a Heisman candidate, Shedeur is under duress, I think second most in the nation at that position. We were talking back here, he does hold on to the ball because he's also like, YOLO, I'll just go deep. He's incredibly exciting to watch, but he'll also give you the quote because he was born in this. His dad is Deion Sanders, and the apple is not falling far from the tree. Check out this sound. This was the postgame sound from their quarterback. You'd expect this maybe from Prime. Look what Prime Jr. has to say.
It was extremely personal. We go out there, warm up. You got the head coach for the other team trying to stand in the middle of the buff. Like, it's okay if like, a couple players do it. It's fine, you know. Like, just enjoy the scenery. But when you got the whole team trying to disrespect it, then I'm not going for that at all. So I went in there and disrupted it. So they knew off rip, like, nah, the Buffaloes mean a lot to me. And personally, that's what I was saying pregame, and that's when I knew it was just extreme disrespect. And that's why it was the coach said a lot of things about my pops, about the program, but now that he want to act nice, I don't respect that because you hating on another man, you shouldn't do that. So it was just all respect was gone for them in their program. Now, I like playing against their DC. I like playing against them, but the respect level, it ain't there because you disrespected us first.
The disrespect that they're talking about was Matt Rule in April talking about how he wasn't focused on the transfer portal. Not a single time has he ever mentioned Colorado. Deion, Matt Rule is like notorious for never saying anything bad about anyone.
No, you don't have to understand that Deion's son learned from the master on how to turn all publicity into good publicity. What I'm telling you is this team through 2 games, Man, this is how things become popular and giant, Stugotz. The University of Miami program did it this way. When Rick Ross is noticing your quarterback's son, talking to him about, oh, you're flashing a lot of money on your wrist, and I'm watching you. When the rap stars come over to your program, and your program is big and loud and black, because Deion Sanders has been a mercenary businessman, outspoken and opinionated by any measure in the history of sports, as big a loudmouth and a marketing genius as there's ever been in sports. And through 2 games, he's taken over college football.
He's been great. The program's been great. But, Dan, it's 2 games. And it's just 2 games.
You're going to keep doing this, though.
No, I'm not,
but
Dan. You say the rest doesn't matter. And what I'm telling you is winning does matter. It's been 2 games.
Agreed.
And it's been 2 games against Nebraska
Agreed.
and
Stugotz,
TCU.
but Stugotz,
No. Play at Oregon. Beat Oregon at Oregon. Play Caleb Williams, USC. Beat USC. And then let's talk.
Thank you. Stugotz. Okay, thank you. Guy who's paid attention to 6 minutes of college football. Didn't even notice
2 weeks in, that's a lot.
Didn't even notice that Alabama lost this weekend.
All right, do it in the Pac-12. I mean, enough with Deion. Enough with Colorado. Enough with both pregame show going out to Boulder to cover a Colorado State game that nobody cares about.
No, the numbers are giant
No one
for
cares.
these games. Okay, very good.
The spread's like 25.
It's a bad game.
Stugotz,
Mismatched.
but this is why he's must-watch TV. It will get a giant number. It will, because it's him. This is what he brings. And his son, we talk about, Stugotz, respect. Can we get the video? There was other video of what was happening on the field before the game. And one guy from Colorado who I did not recognize. I don't know who he was. He's in the center of this scrum when Shedeur is insulted. And he just turns to the camera and he's like, respectfully, we're going to whip that ass. Respectfully. Respect was clearly a theme in whatever it is that was happening there.
Respectfully, it was 0-0 with like 4 minutes left in the first half, and then Nebraska kept vomiting all over themselves.
I'm not here
Respectfully.
Yes, I'm not.
You hater, you.
Yes, I hate them. He can't keep getting away with this. How does someone who turns the ball over as much as Jeff Sims does, how is he so lackadaisical around a loose ball? How? It's just at his feet. He bent down like a grandpa picking up a newspaper.
Why can't he correctly grab a snap? Why does he have 7 turnovers in 2
He
games?
stinks.
Okay, don't do that to
He
college kids.
stinks.
Don't do that.
No, he's bad. Okay. He's been bad.
This is what's
He's
gonna
awful.
This is what's going to
They're awful.
All right. This is when you make it professional, then you can call the
Don't
kids.
say Matt Rule hasn't done anything.
Oh, it's professional.
All right, because
You're
when
making
Matt
millions of
Rule
dollars a
when
year,
Matt
Dan.
Rule stole a kid from Palmetto, he threw up the 305 on social media. He's been on my list.
I mean, Caleb Williams is threatening to stay in college. He's making so much money.
Matt Rule, I want to talk about this for a second. What manufactured lunacy of disrespect they created when boring-ass Matt Rule is the center of their disgust for saying, yeah, we're not going to do it through the transfer portal. All right, you're going to lose to the teams that do it through the transfer portal, but you keep being Matt Rule, you rule.
He just meant they're going to get a not as good quarterback in the portal.
Yes. Why is there no Martinez in Nebraska? I'm telling you, if there's a Martinez there, they win that game.
Yep.
Sims was not good, but I cannot have you calling college kids. This is
Stinky.
Okay.
Bad.
There was a Martinez there last year, Mike. I believe they were
no.
There's
4-8.
been a Martinez there.
Martinez
Yeah,
went
but
to
in one
Kansas.
score games,
No, I
they
saw
would have been 10
Oh,
wins.
what's going on? Sorry.
No, Kansas or Kansas State bought Martinez.
Huh.
He spent 7 years at Nebraska and then went to the middle
Yeah,
of the
but we
country.
won 20 straight years with a Martinez playing quarterback for Nebraska. This is not news to you.
This is what I do want to talk about here, okay? Because I don't want your hating to keep moving the goalposts. All I'm saying, Stugotz, even if they go 2-9, is that through 2 weeks, he's winning all of college football.
He is.
And you can question it each week, as people have, but he's just going to keep getting louder. And so far, through 2 wins, he's taken over the sport, Stugotz, and I think that people will tolerate talking college football on a professional football Monday, at least in part because the super huge, famous guy, Stugotz, who's in the commercials with Saban,
Yep.
has just become the second most famous coach in that sport and a must-see TV story where both networks are like, yep, that's what we got to do because it's Deion. He's already won That's what I'm telling you. Like, he could lose the next 3 games. He already won.
Well, I want him to lose the next 3 games, not just because I'm a hater, but also because that's my real question about this thing. How does this go when he starts losing?
Right.
I need to see it.
It's a fair question, Dan. It is.
I don't know, but the part about the question that I believe doesn't have merit at the moment is it'll be great for all of us. It'll continue to enrich the machine because this mercenary who's not like the other coaches isn't going to behave in press conferences like Matt Rule does. Like, he'll fight the media.
But he's actually disrespecting folks.
Fighting the media is like a college football special, Dan. That does happen a lot.
Rat poison.
My only point is that you've got a star at the star position in that sport who, as I mentioned, is on all the shows today, Stugotz, because the people running the media are his peers. There's Michael Irvin, and he's just going around. Nick Saban just signed up with McAfee because Nick Saban knows what's coming. Scary to Nick Saban. He's known how to rule this thing when it was his rules. Now what this is, he doesn't know what to make. Losing to Texas all of a
Just
sudden.
lost at home by double digits.
And it doesn't look like he's got the quarterback that he needs. It doesn't look, even
That's
though
why they tried to take ours.
I bet he cancels week 1.
Yeah. Archie's out there.
Saban.
Yeah, only after a win. He's like, I lost, not coming on.
but when Mike says, what's it going to be?
Classic coach move.
What's it going to be when the adversity there? It's the same for Saban, except I'm sure Deion's going to make giant public messes that will keep his team relevant every single week.
What kind of giant public mess can you make if you lose to Oregon at Oregon by 100 points? I mean,
This is a fascinating thing because it didn't take that long for Texas to get the talent up there. And they've never really struggled to get the talent. There's just been elements missing. USC did it quickly. Miami's starting to come online. Texas just won by double digits at Alabama.
Notre Dame
is doing their thing.
We've had a good O-line
Colorado,
and
1
D-line.
year. Colorado, 2 games in. Story of the college football season. And you have Nick Saban trying to go on McAfee, wondering what to do next. Doesn't have a quarterback. And you have God's name, image, and likeness really struggling with Charleston Southern for 3.5 quarters. And then there's Iowa.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. We've got that, yes. Assico over-delivered somehow.
Dan, you talked about how the biggest story in college football, Deion. I don't know about that. Assico was this weekend. Presidents were getting flipped off. Offensive touchdowns. One offensive touchdown was being scored. A defensive touchdown was scored. It was the perfect game. Chris Cody loves Iowa football. I got a text during the game. He loves Iowa football.
Lucy, you are a sad, sad human being.
Okay. That's hurtful.
that's harsh.
I
man.
love her.
Sorry for being happy.
It's because she's texting with me? Like, what's happening?
No,
here?
well, that's part of it. What has happened here, okay, is offensive to anybody who cares about good football. The number in that game, Stugotz, the total was, it started at like 37 and kept going down, 36, 35. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, it can't go lower than that. Like how? And they came in under. Because those teams really stink at offense. They prefer to show up by horse and carriage to the stadium. They just want to punch you in the face on defense, and Lucy loves it. But it's the antithesis of how I want my football to look.
Look, I had a great time. Also, we did tell you guys to bet the under, and naturally it hits. It's free money. Why do you think the players are doing it?
Do you guys only have tight ends? Do you only have tight ends?
It is tight end you.
I mean, it's just every
punch
pass. It's just like, oh, that's
It
out
is
wide.
tight end
That's
you.
got to be a receiver. Nope, another tight end.
And Dan, you were saying how there's one coach on all the cable shows right now. Well, I've got a live feed of CNN, and they're only talking about El Assico right now.
Is that right?
Yes, because Trump and
Absolutely.
DeSantis were there.
Yep.
Not Mel Tucker. They're not talking about Mel Tucker over there.
Can we talk about that?
All right.
Transition.
Weird segue.
Weird segue.
I just wanted to talk about Iowa scoring a defensive touchdown, and it's still somehow counting towards Brian Barron's point total.
I was going to make a joke about what it's like being in a state where politicians only care about you for like 1 month of every 4 years.
Just leave us alone. I hated that when I lived in Iowa. They'd show up for a month and be gone. Go away.
All of you just go away. So DeSantis, everybody was getting flipped off. That's what was happening there.
It was awesome. It was the first time where Iowa State, we came together. I was very proud to be an Iowan.
2 white hands shaking.
Dallas Clark,
Kaylin Clark.
TJ Hawkinson.
Were there other things? How many tight ends do they have? They have
Noah Fant.
George Kittle.
What?
yeah, Kittle. I think Kittle went there.
I love this game because Iowa State outgained Iowa in receiving, passing, rushing, first downs, every offensive metric, and they lost by 7 points.
It should have been more. We were up 20-3, and we really let that slip away.
That Iowa State offense is so bad. I loved having the under in that game. I never even seen them play. Like, I'm taking the under. That first possession, I was like, this is going to be easy.
I hate unders. Hate them. Cannot bet them. I lose all the time. All I do
You're
is
rooting
lose.
for nothing to happen.
I cannot watch games that way. I never want unders. Do you know how pathetic you have to be for all the money to come in and the number to start in that game? 35. They're saying to you, we don't even expect these teams to fumble at their own 4-yard line. We're telling you, these teams are just going to shit at the 50-yard line the entire game.
Now seems like a good time to remind everybody that there were reputable reports that said Iowa State head football coach Matt Campbell turned down a $68.5 million 8-year deal from the Detroit Lions.
To see Iowa's punter drop a 70-yard bomb on him.
A solid
God,
punt.
our punter is so good.
Really good.
I am excited when Iowa goes 3-0 because I get to see Torrey Taylor.
If you're a decent head football coach at a mediocre school like Iowa State, Baylor, I don't know, just for example, and you get the call up from the NFL, you have to go, right? You have to go.
We're going to live long enough to see Man Campbell dominate.
Man Campbell's got the third best team in the NFC.
Yep.
That's my
Maybe the second, Mike.
I know we're in college right now, but I have a week 1 overreaction I'd like to get to.
No, but we've got plenty of professional football to get to, and we will in just a second. I just don't want to leave as Lucy celebrates Iowa State. I think you guys are with me on this. I think you might be. Maybe Colorado is good. Maybe they aren't. We'll see them tested. But I've seen enough to know. Oh, FSU is going to be really good. Now, maybe they lose games, but I think in the new construct of college football, when Texas can go to Alabama, because Texas has always had athletes. It doesn't make any sense in the world that Alabama would keep beating Texas all the time. Texas is a monster program that's not in Mobile. Like, Nick Saban rebuilt it there after Shula's kid couldn't. But
Alabama's also a program that's not in Mobile, just so you know.
I'm just saying, all of Alabama.
It's a fine.
Is it?
A couple of dollars.
Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, everyone knows that. That's UAB you're talking about.
Watch out for...
That's Birmingham.
What do you think
It's
the B
University of
stands for?
Alabama, Birmingham.
I owe $2.
You had to get in there.
What I'm saying to you is if we're going to see a complete revolution of what the sport is, I think we've all seen enough to know already, oh, here are the 7 or 8 teams that we know are going to be good no matter what. Like maybe we'll argue about Michigan and Ohio State and everything else, but FSU is clearly in this game now.
What about Troy?
That's in Troy.
We can say this, yes? Who are the best teams in the sport? There are only going to be 10 of them, correct? That jump off.
10.
That-
Probably like maybe 1.5.
I'm going to go 3. There are 3 good teams every year. It's college football. It's one of the parts of the sport I hate where it's so top heavy. And then there's a lot of good teams.
But I'm saying that I don't believe that anymore. Like Clemson's out of here. Stugotz,
They're done.
Look at what you have seen dominate the sport over the last 15 years.
Georgia, Alabama.
I'm not here to say that Alabama is done, but they just lost at home by double digits, and it doesn't look like Saban has a quarterback. And if you're going to make the SEC professional football, Stugotz, with the giant TV contracts, then the FSUs and the Texases might get in that game very quickly if you're making it about money. If you're going to make it that overtly about money, they're going to be able to win the NIL game because they're going to run their businesses better.
Yeah, overtly is the way, because it's always been about money. But the good old boy network isn't protecting it anymore. And now the playing field has been leveled, and kids are realizing, oh, I can play in Los Angeles. I can play in Austin, and I can get my money too.
Well, they've always been able, to get their money. I think this is something that people kind of forget with Florida State. That's why they're so desperate to leave the ACC, because that $30 million deficit that the SEC and the Big Ten are making more than them is going to really start to cost them. So Florida State probably feels like they have to win now. Yes.
But isn't that amazing to watch play out so overtly, Stugotz? So Skipper, who runs our company, gives the ACC a terrible deal at ESPN. It's already rips off the ACC because, as I told you, the commissioners of these things, wildly unimpressive. Athletic directors, wildly unimpressive. They're the businessmen who want to wear a jacket and be important sports people. And the athletic directors, they're the fundraisers. So the ACC has a terrible deal. And now, and this part's fascinating to me, Stugotz, because what you see growing in front of you, the business that you see growing in front of you, is football is getting so very large with the money that they're going to dominate when no one can in the streaming age, Saturdays and Sundays. Football's going to keep growing, to keep getting bigger with giant dollars, and the ACC got left behind, and FSU just got into that game, and FSU now doesn't want to be in the ACC anymore because these brands all realize that they have selfish individual power, and if you remove all of the tradition and all the bullshit and all the rivalries and all the sis-boom bullshit, if you just make it about commerce, FSU wants out of the ACC, FSU wants back in the top 10, and holy they've got athletes all over the field. In a way, I'm watching Clemson now, and I'm like, oh, you just got left behind. That's it. It's done for you. And Alabama, you might be next because this is super competitive. Georgia took your Alabama. They took your whole act.
And Jimmy Haslam's coming for you in Tennessee. They beat him last year already.
This is what is going to happen.
I actually disagree. Like, I understand, like, right now, at the end of it, we'll say, okay, the same thing that we always say. There were only 2 good teams. But you look at the top 25, you see more parity, and you see signs of the wealth being distributed, and you see
the players are also being distributed because of the portal.
And
That's important.
You're seeing programs start to come online that if they stack classes, Tennessee can be a real problem. Hell, they already beat Alabama last year, like I said. Auburn's going to be getting back in the game. You have a lot more of the pot to go around now.
But, Mike, why is Notre Dame good this year? Like, why does Notre Dame have a chance of winning a national
championship? Why are you
championship?
asking Mike that? I've been trying to tell you for months, Stugotz.
I know, but my point is that portal can help you out. It can take a good team and make it a great team. And in the case of Notre Dame, that's what happens.
They were a great quarterback away.
I agree, but there's also the element of player development in your program and good coaching, and you have to have all 3 of those things. You can't just have one. Like we saw Jimbo Fisher have the team and through the portal have a talent composite score higher than all the other teams that finished with more successful records than them last season. We saw the same thing with Miami. You can't just have one. You still have to have a coach who knows how to coach, coordinators that know how to scheme, and you still have to be able to develop some of your players through the program and not just, trade in through the portal year in and year out, because that's how you have depth.
But, Mike, you think this season there's more parity, more teams with a shot at winning a national championship? Because I'm with Lucy and Jess, where I think there's like 2 or 3 good teams.
I think there are more teams that are good. Now, winning a national championship in a non-expanded playoff, that's a different conversation.
But guys, I don't mean to overreact here, but just seriously, okay? After 2 weeks, I don't mean to overreact. But did you not see, yes, maybe they lose because they're college kids. Like maybe they lose 2 or 3 games. But FSU, to me, is clearly – like, they have a bunch of athletes that can clearly play with anybody. If you tell me they're playing Georgia tomorrow, I'm like, yep, let me see it, because I don't know who's better here. Like, in a way that's obvious on the field with what you're watching.
Georgia. Yeah, Georgia. Georgia's the answer to a lot of
Not
these
a quarterback.
Quarterback's good. Jess, are you laughing because Georgia is that much better than Florida State?
I'm laughing because Lucy just turned to me and just said Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia's really good.
Okay.
I think we are overreacting a little bit about like the state of college football and the portal and what it means, because it is only week 2. Conference play hasn't started yet. There's always a series of games in which like we see Pac-12 teams like eat each other up. SEC teams eat each other up. I agree there's like certain divisions like the SEC West I look at and I'm like, I don't know who's going to win that this year, when historically that's been Alabama's division.
But if I may, Jess, I don't think it's an overreaction. We're seeing things in the last 2 years that we just flatly haven't seen in the last 20.
Georgia winning the national championship 2 years in a row makes me think like, yeah, maybe, but like the result is still the same.
But Clemson just lost at Duke. Alabama lost at home by double digits. The stranglehold that those 2 programs had, it's one of the great rivalries in the history of college football. It's dissipating.
I think what's happening with Clemson, and to an extent with Alabama as well, though I think I know Clemson's team a little bit better, is more so like a product of something going deeply awry within their coaching ranks versus just a problem of like the rest of the world knows how to use the portal and Dabo
But
doesn't.
But Lucy, like we just saw the national runner-up lose to Coach Prime in his very first game. I do think that we're seeing a bit of a sea change.
We're not seeing more teams getting better. We're seeing different teams get better. Like, it's just not the same four we're used to. It's a turning of the tides there.
It's scary when Clemson and Alabama are both not going to be really, really good this year. We're all scared, and we want to make, like, sweeping assumptions about what it means, but we don't know if it means anything yet. It's week 2.
That's terrible analysis.
But I do have NFL overreactions.
Should I call someone a mercenary? Is that better
Yes,
analysis?
it's always better.
It's just I didn't mean that all.
Someone has to come for someone's stuff too.
I didn't mean that
a staple.
all of the analysis was terrible. I just meant that saying after week 2 that it's week 2.
Technically,
did I
week
lie?
3. There was
It's
a
week
week
3,
0. There
right?
was a
Week
week
0,
0
1,
was
2, 3
confusing.
weeks. Yeah.
2.5.
weeks.
It's week 2.5.
My point is,
Easy
yes,
math,
we
I mean.
can't know anything after 2 games. Yes, of course. And then there's the fun part of everyone's going to get hurt too. And so we're not going to know who it is that can play, who can't play. But I'm just saying that on a Monday, we can do this of about every single thing in football yesterday. Yep. 1 game. None of it matters.
Guys, the ACC is 4-1 against the SEC. I think it's fair to overreact.